Hi dear friends, once more Bob Hatton, once more the encourager. We saw yesterday that Mary and Joseph, they've gone to the temple. 40 days have passed. Jesus is now 40 days, 6 weeks old, and the time of purification has finished. Mary was deemed to be unclean because she'd given birth to a baby. For a time she would be bleeding. That was declared unclean according to the Jewish law. But after 40 days they went to the temple and they got the cheapest offering they could find. They were so poor, these people. They got 2 pigeons. They was offered to end the days of purification according to the law of Moses. And they met this man Simeon, who took the baby and prayed and blessed the baby and prophesied over it. And this was so encouraging for Mary and Joseph. And then we see another person comes onto the scene. We've seen Simeon, and now there's a lady called Anna. And Anna is very old. She's 84 years old, and her life has been it's been covered with tragedy. When she was a young woman, she lost her husband. She became a widow. I don't know how old she was, but since she was only married for 6 years, so maybe she was 26, maybe she's only 24 or even 22, if she was as young as Mary, because the girls got married very, very young in those days. But after she'd been married for 6 years, her husband died, and she's been a widow ever since. And we know that widows are quite low down in the social spectrum of biblical times. And she's given her life to prayer and to fasting, to intercession, to asking God to bless the nation, and she'd seen so many things. She came from the tribe of Asher, and Asher was one of the 10 tribes that belonged to the north. After the days of Solomon, the kingdom was divided into what became Israel in the north and Judah in the south. Judah was made up of the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, and Jerusalem was there. So I suppose the Levites and the priests belonged down there as well. And the northern part was made up of the other 10 tribes. And in one point of the Geschichte, the Assyrians came and they captured Israel, and they took them prisoner, and they were dispersed all over the world, and we don't really know what happened to them. Now, 1 or 2 people then of course escaped, and some of these people who escaped were the ancestors of Anna. So in her heritage she had this kind of tragedy as well, that her family, her clan, her tribe had been dispersed amongst the nations, and she didn't have very many relations. Probably she was very much alone. And the other thing is a tragedy in the nation, because she was 84 years old, and when she was born Israel was still independent. This is in the time before the Romans came and took over control of Judea, the province where Jerusalem was. So she'd experienced a lot of tragedy, and she decided to give her life to prayer, intercession, to calling on God, supplication, fasting, and asking God to change things in Israel, to send a revival. And she lived in the temple. She lived at the center of Judaism. And I suppose she knew Simeon, also an upright man who was looking for the consolation of Israel, and she saw him blessing this baby, and something in her also said, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. I'm so old now, and now I can see Simeon said, my eyes have seen your salvation. And so after so long time of waiting and praying and expecting, God answers the prayer. And this is in the middle of the temple. And John would write later and said that the law came from Moses, but grace and truth came from Jesus Christ. And then he also writes that from his fullness we have all taken something, and we have taken grace upon grace. And the time is changing. We're at a watershed. The Old Testament is passing. The New Testament is coming. And it will not be about law. It will not be about keeping rules and regulations, but it will be about receiving grace because Jesus has fulfilled the law. Well, that's it for today. I hope I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Your encourager, your Bob Hatton.